Phones are not even a thing. I shouldn't even see them, right? There's none of this pull your phone out of your pocket and just check that message you absolutely need right now. No, you don't. Okay, so not even. I'm not saying you can't have them on you. I'm saying I shouldn't see them. We're not waiting. Here we go. Here we go. So before we start talking about American history, allow me to point out that part of the whiteboard. That's just sort of a what's a happening stuff as far as this class is concerned, various due dates. Textbook, you should go to the library at some point and check it out. Jack, you want to hold up that textbook, show everybody? That's what it looks like. That's the American pageant. Okie dokie. That'll help you with the Kias. I saw that 9 of you attempted to attack those Kias. That's awesome. A few of you abandoned it. What kind of a parent are you going to be? Anyway, you abandoned it. Don't worry, right? It's not like I'm now going to give you a 15 out of 60 because you answered 15 and then said, screw this, or the computer screwed up, whatever. It's fine. Just start over and do it again. And as a matter of fact, don't redo the ones you did. Just skip all those, start with where you left off, and then just tell me, and then I'll just add those 2 scores together. It's fine. Okay? I'm not a completely heartless bastard. Oh no, did I start recording? That will not be on the, okay. The syllabus is on the school website. Is anyone not familiar with the school website? You're lying. Okay, it explains all the aspects of the University of Minnesota, including some things that you get. Did you know that you get some things, fringe benefits? Like, let's say you're struggling. Call the U of M Tutor Center. You're a freshman. They will help you. They have a writing center. These are upperclassmen who know how to write things. Call them and have them help you. By the way, this year's seniors are also an excellent source for that as well. Anyway, read that at your leisure. It's on the school website. Is there anyone who's not signed up for Classroom? Why didn't you? Okay. Yep. You didn't need it? Okay. It's fine. Come find me either at the end of the class today or during the flex time. Come find me, or any others have successfully signed up. It's easy. It's just a code, and frankly, I don't remember the code. Anyone have the code for this class? Well, doesn't it say on Classrooms what the code is? It doesn't?
I think I tried it. It's like,
You can find it, maybe.
Well, you know what? I have it. Why don't I go with what I got? So for Google Classroom, I'm assuming that you know how generally this thing called Google Classroom works. The code for this class is, I'm about to tell you the code now, NJM78N5. Does anyone want that repeated? Okay. NJ, by the way, if you ever run a website and you decide to have a code, never use N or M or 0 or O. Avoid those numbers and letters. Anyway, the code for this class is NJM78N5. Go ahead. Is there anyone who did not join Kia? Okay, you need to come find me later because that's a little bit more complex of a process. So it'll be no problem. Anyone not join Remind? Okay, retrieve these phones that you're not supposed to have. Go ahead. You have temporary permission to have your phones. Text 8 to the number 81010. You're texting to this destination, 81010. The code, so this is the message you're sending. Ready? At SOM CIS. Send. It'll say, oh yeah, what's your birth date? Tell it your birth date, and then I know your birth date.
So that you can wish us happy.
So I can send you happy birthday. Wow. Hi. Super. Lauren Young to the office to fix her schedule. Okay, bye. Bye. Okay, keeping going here. Look, you have your agendas with you. Do you get agendas? Somehow you're going to record this because this is one of 6 times for the year. These are 6 time periods of great importance. And that is the Unit 1 test window. That's how you will hear me phrase times when we have completed a unit of study, and now it's your turn to give back. Give back to me. The first unit exam window is October 9th, 10th, and 11th. They will always be 3 days long. You will have 3 days to complete 4 exams. That's slightly more than, it's 1.333 infinite exams completed per day for 3 days, which will complete 4 exams, 3 online objective tests, and a blue book essay. I'm sure you've heard of these things called blue book essays. Well, now you're going to be knee deep in it. And that is October 9th, 10th, and 11th. That is over a month away. But that's going to be testing window number 1. Underneath that are the various due dates of the online CIS. You can see that chapters 1 and 2 are due not this week, but next week, Friday. Chapters 1 and 2. And feel free to work ahead. Right? Make your life easier later. Take care of it now. Basically, those are just read the book, answer the questions. Or don't read the book and answer the questions. I've never said you have to read the book. You have to do the CIS, but you don't have to read the book. But I would.
You can't redo the CIS.
Sorry, what?
You can't redo the CIS.
Right. Yeah, one check. Yeah, one check. Unless the computer, unless you were working on your CIS last night at about midnight, and then the power went out, and then suddenly you have only 10 complete of the 60 questions. Well, I'm not completely heartless, right? Just do it again. Start over and do it again, and then let me know. But don't repeat the ones you already did. You did those already. Just start over, skip those first few questions, start there, tell me what happened. I'll believe you. I will trust you until given a reason that I shouldn't trust you. Until I'm given a reason not to trust you, I will trust you. Okay? So then just add those, just tell me, I'll add the 2 scores together, there's your score. Yes.
I'm confused. Why would it matter if power went out if you're on your computer?
Because then your computer would go.
Why?
Our bills.
Oh, Wi-Fi, right. Okay.
There was a moment when I thought, gee, she's right. But then I thought, nah, it's her. You're right.
You can always hotspot it.
Okay. And then last thing that's up here. By the way, these are all Fridays. Unless it's starred, then that's telling you that there's something odd going on. Like I think this is a Thursday.
They're both Thursdays.
And this is a Thursday. The 4th is homecoming day, a day that's lost in space. I don't even know if we'll have class that day, so it's due the 3rd. Okay. That means the exam window is the week after homecoming. Okay. Is there any question about what's up there that absolutely must be answered now? Yes, Blake. That's not up here. Take that back. Unsay what you said. That's right. Good question. She just asked, will the questions on the Kia be the test questions? No. It's just a way for you to prove to me that you read the chapters or you just know things. Yes,
Do we need to write that down? Or
can if you want.
is it gonna be?
It's probably a good idea.
Oh,
They have various due dates and stuff.
is it gonna just stay up there?
Yeah, it'll be up there.
Oh, okay.
Yep, it'll always be up there. Yep. There's Kaya.
I think you're allowed to use the book or no?
No notes. No.
Well, you can use each other, right?
During the exam?
Oh, I thought you meant for kids.
Oh, Kia's book, Google, type the question exactly as it appears on Google and see if that works. I don't care. Use each other. I told many of you that were at the meeting, I had a group of juniors last year taking this class. They'd get together every Sunday, and there were, I don't know, like 10 of them, and they would divide the Kias into tenths. So you'd have the first 6, second 6, third 6, and then a half hour later, they'd get back together and share their answers. Fine. I don't care. Yes. Do you have another question?
Oh, never mind.
Are the chapters in front of the keys, the chapters in the book?
Right. Anybody else? Okay. If I were to, right. Anything we talk about is testable. Starting now. When I snapped my finger, which finger was it that I just snapped with? This one. Testable.
What?
Possibly a test question. Anyway, if I were to tell you that there was a massacre going on in another country right now, that people were being gutted, executed violently by the thousands, would you agree with me that the United States would have the obligation to stop it? How many of you would say, yeah? Nobody in here would say, yeah. Yep. If the United States government were aware of a massacre going on, the wiping out of people based on some common characteristic, maybe religion or something like that. In other words, let's say that you're President Roosevelt and you've been handed a document and you open it up and you learn all about the concentration camps and death camps. But Japan has not attacked the United States yet. So we are not the victim of a direct attack, but you are aware of what's going on in Europe. Would you authorize military force to stop the Germans from engaging in that behavior? Or would you be of the opinion, not our problem? Is the United States obligated to stop injustices if we are not the direct victim? There's no right or wrong answer here. I'm just wondering if any of you think, yeah, that's our job. We have the power. We should stop injustice. We have one.
International law, it says.
There is international law. You're absolutely right. Who enforces it? The secret United Nations robot army?
Nobody.
There is no enforcer of international law. There is no international military force. There's no international force that is obligated to uphold international law. What upholds international law then? Willing countries like the US sometimes. That's not possible.
I'm sorry.
Raising your hands right now. It's okay to have the guts to raise your hand and have other people look at you and say, oh, look at that. How many of you would sign the order getting U.S. military forces over to Europe to stop the Holocaust? 2, 3, 4, suddenly hands go up. Okay, understand that. What I just have seen is about half of you say, yep, if there's an atrocity going on over there, even though we're not attacked, we have the obligation to stop it. Everyone understand? You are telling me you understand.
Yes, but with atrocities, it's the Holocaust too, they were also invading other countries, which also threw off the economy, which we could have just sent to stop an economic crisis. And how do we know that didn't happen? That was really good for our own self.
Does that mean you're sending soldiers over or not?
Yes,
Okay.
we're sending them over just.
Premise number 2. Generally, would you agree with me that generally the European conquest in the 1500s of Central and South America, and to a certain extent North America, was generally seen as a bad thing. That those poor Native Americans, would you agree with me that the narrative is, gee, those poor Native Americans, those awful Europeans who came over with their things called guns, guns. Like can't use a rock or a spear like we Indians do. What's with guns? That they wiped out the Native American population without justification. Would we agree that that's true? Yes. The Black Legend, very good. Is anyone like, no, the Native Americans deserved it? Did you know right now, those of you who raised your hands 2 minutes ago are contradicting yourself. You are contradicting yourself. Don't you know about the Aztec? Who wiped people out by the thousands. They carved out the hearts. Then they threw the carcasses down the stairs and threw the hearts to the sun god or the rain god. And the Europeans came over, looked and said, what the hell? And ended the Aztec Empire. Why don't you study how the Europeans stopped the genocide that happened in the Central and South American hemisphere? Why don't you study it that way? And my point here, took a long time to get to my point, is it's not always justifiable to take morals that we have today and look back and say, well, why didn't they do it that way? This is what is called historiography, because my friends, this is not only a history class, this is a history of history class. We not only will study American history in here, we will study how historians studied history. That makes this class a history class and a historiography class. The study of history. How historians portray things. And as an example, I can just go back to two narratives that exist. One, the U.S. was right during World War II. The evil Nazis, the good guy Americans, we liberated them. But the Europeans invaded Central and South America. Two different narratives. We didn't invade Europe, we liberated Europe. But the Europeans invaded Central and South America. That's historiography. It's someone trying to get you to think things from a certain point of view. And that will be the subject of our first Blue Book essay. Before this class is over, you're all going to get one of these bad boys. And it's pages long, 2 pages long, okay? And it's going to have brief quotes, and we're going to talk about it, but it's going to be, some of the quotes are going to be from this historian named Howard Zinn. Howard Zinn is a giant. If there were a Mount Rushmore of historians, Howard Zinn would be on that Mount Rushmore, okay? And then another set of historians called Schweikert and Allen. They're not quite on Mount Rushmore, but they wrote a history book. And Zinn's going to try and convince you of how bad the Europeans were. And Schweikert and Allen are going to convince you, no. They ended the awful things that were going on in Central and South America. And your job is going to prove to me which one's right. Which historian's view of what happened is the right point of view. And how are you going to do that? By finding historical examples. By finding historical examples of if Zinn's right, how they imposed Christianity. You will praise Jesus. Or about how awful the Native Americans were. And you're going to prove to me, using history, which view is the right view. And if you think, good God, get me out of this class, okay, change your schedule. But if that sounds like, oh, that'd be sweet, then this class is for yes. So that means that when we cover material in this class, part of the reason that you should be paying attention and maybe taking good notes and all that crap is, number one, it's just so doggone interesting. Number two, I can test you on it. It could be one of your objective tests. But maybe the most important reason of all is this. I might be giving you historical evidence that you could use to prove either Zinn is right and the Europeans were awful, or Schweikart and Allen were right, and the Europeans were actually liberating the victims of the awful power structure that was in place in Central, excuse me. Wow. Olivia who? That one?
Yeah.
Hi. You're in the wrong class.
Yes. I'm guessing I need to go to the office for schedule changes.
Good luck, Billy.
I'm guessing the office for second.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, you are going to be taking notes on stuff. 3 reasons. I love it. It's testable. It might be evidence I would use in a Blue Book essay. Let's start with, how did the Native Americans got here in the first place? How'd they get here? Didn't we originate in Africa? This is assuming that the theory of evolution is the actual event, which we're gonna go with that one here. You are free to believe the biblical version, great. But there are unquestionably problems with time in that theory that evolution is going to address. Again, I'm not saying evolution is a fact, and that those of you who believe in the creation theory are completely wrong. Go ahead and believe it. But we're going to go with evolution in here. Okay? Didn't we originate in Africa? How'd those people get over here? Isn't there an ocean? They took a boat is incorrect. How'd they get here? Yes.
Wait, wasn't the continents like connected at first?
Millions and millions of years ago, before people. Yes.
For a while, you could get from like the tip of Russia to Alaska.
How?
The land bridge.
There was a land bridge. So allow me to explain, and you tell me, yep, you got it. There was an ice age. The ice age froze the oceans far enough south so that people could walk across the ice to get to North America. Now raise your hand if you think, yep, that's it. That's correct. Raising your hands if you think what I just said, what is wrong with you people? What was my colossal error? What was it again? What was it they crossed?
The land.
It was a land bridge. Land, not ice. Land. Land bridge. They crossed land. I don't understand. Help me. Help me. Come on now. No. Okay, here we go. Ice Age. There was an Ice Age. The Ice Age, those of you who understand physics know that ice, well, that's true, it melts. But when water turns to ice, it takes up a different amount of space than water. When the Ice Age occurred, it actually lowered. You all know that this thing called global warming, the concern is that the melting ice will raise the level of the water. And things like California and Florida will disappear. Come on. But that means if glacial melting raises the level of water, then an ice age would lower the level of water. If water goes down, land is revealed, like that land. It was revealed during the Ice Age, and people walked across, chasing animals. That's how they originally got here. It was a land bridge that connected Russia with Alaska, and we're talking about thousands and thousands of years ago. And they moved and eventually populated the North, Central, and South American continents, and they developed civilizations. Now, this is not a Native American history class, although in some aspects it is, but we're not going to spend oodles and oodles of time studying this stuff. We got to get to America, man. But anyway, generally they created empires, some of which rivaled European empires as far as specialization, permanence. All three of the empires that existed in Central or South America were what? What were they? You know. Someone here knows. The 3 huge empires. Yes, you do know. You know one of them because I said it.
Aztec,
The Aztec,
Incans,
Inca, Maya. There it is. Aztec, Inca, Maya. Yes, dear.
Wait, you said they started in
I did.
How'd they get to Russia?
Take that back. Take it back. Unsay what you said.
How did they get to Russia?
Unsay it. Unsay it.
So you're telling me they went from Africa all the way across the whole
Wasn't in one trip.
This is migration. This is following your food. This is thousands of years.
So it's not just
No. The same person that left Africa did not say arriving in Argentina. Nice. That was the great granddaughter of the person who lived. Know the three empires: Aztec, Inca, Maya. Know it. Now, I am not your mom. I'm not going to tell you how to take notes. Frankly, I don't even care if you do take notes. I would, because I believe that there's a little brain in my finger and thumb, and that's the brain that needs to learn the material. And the way that brain learns the material is by writing it out. All of these notes are on the website. All of them. They'll be on the website. Now, you can't use it during tests. If you miss class, and you come to me the next day and say, gee, what did I miss? All I'll tell you is it's on the website. Watch the video and look at the notes that we're taking, okay? But here they are. The Inca, which were in Peru, the Mayans, which were in Central America, and the Aztec, which were in what we today call Mexico. And three things that I'm going to point out to you that they did not have, all three of which the Europeans did have: horses, animals that could plow, ox, cows, and the wheel, which is in my top 10 greatest inventions ever, the wheel. Also sliced bread. Come on, can you picture a peanut butter jelly sandwich before they invented sliced bread? That would be a mess. And then someone said, wait a minute, what if we took a knife?
Wait, you said it's put two words
Nice.
together?
All three of the major empires are south of present-day United States. None of the major empires were in the present-day United States. Why? Why didn't any of the big empires occur in Wisconsin? Anyone have a theory? What? It's too cold, right? Where there were large empires, the climate is warm, always. It's always warm. That means they can grow things. Now you're thinking, well, yeah, they can grow things here too. Yes, that's true. But they did not have the ability to plow or irrigate here like they did where they did. And so the Aztec, Inca, and Maya are developing in Central and parts of Northern South America, and they develop what we'll call permanence. They stayed where they were. Meanwhile, the Native Americans in this area basically had teepees, and they were chasing their food supply. They were nomadic. They had to go. They'd wake up, where's our food supply? Over there. All right, everyone. All right, and they'd pull their houses, and they'd go chase the food, which went over there. But that's not true of the Aztec, Inca, and Maya. They could stay where they were, which means they could grow food, which means that some people didn't have to be farmers. Everyone around here at this time farmed or hunted or looked for berries. You had to. But where the empires were, some people said, well, I don't need to be a farmer. Billy's a farmer. I'll be something else. I'll be a warrior. I'll go to school and learn how to use spears and shields and kill my enemies. Or I'll be a priest. I'll learn the stars and I'll worship the sun god and the rain god and the warrior god or whatever. Or I'll be a ruler. I will dictate laws that are the subject of the people. Does anyone know what this is called? Where farming productivity allowed for you to be a farmer and you to be a priest and you to sell shoes and you to, right? Does anyone know what that's called? Big word. It's called specialization. Specialization. Okay? The United States has specialization today. Oh, yeah. When we were colonies, it took about 98% of the American population to feed 100% of the people. Did you hear that? When we were colonies, it took 98% of the population to feed 100% of the people. Everyone was a farmer back then. Everyone, except 2%, right? Today, does anyone want to take a shot? Take a shot. About what percent of Americans are involved in farming? 4. That's about right. About 2 to 4%. 2 to 4% of the American population feeds the American population. By the way, not only feeds the American population, grows enough to feed Earth. We are so productive, especially around this area, the Midwest. We are so productive. We could feed Earth. The starving people in Africa, they are not starving because there isn't enough food. Yes, there is. There's plenty of food. There's another problem. There are other problems that suggest that. Specialization allowed for the building of temples, right? Did you notice the temple that was that old temple that's in Hudson? That stone temple that looks like a pyramid? Neither did I. Did you notice that beautiful pyramid in Ohio? Nope. You know where the temples are? South. Where they could build things because they know they didn't have to move. They could build temples. Look at the Egyptian temples. Notice where they are? Right? About the same geographic area as the Aztec, Inca, and Mayan temples. Right? Where it's warm. And what they do, they would sacrifice. This is a violent drawing. There's the priest carving out the heart of the enemy because the Aztec would conquer their neighbors violently, slaughtering them by the thousands. And then the survivors, they would then sacrifice to their gods, god of war, the god of rain, the god of sun. They would carve out the hearts, throw it into the fire, into the middle, and then they take the carcass and roll it down the 100 or so stairs to the cheering of the crowds who were required to cheer like North Koreans praising Kim Jong-un, right? As if they're saying, thank God that's not me. I think that's about it. Okay. A couple other points to make. There's a group called the Anasazi. Have any of you been to the Grand Canyon? Any Grand Canyon? Did you see the Native American ruins that are there? Okay. They live. It's lovely and it's pretty cool. They were called the Anasazi, and they had the potential. They could have become an empire, but luck of the draw, nasty weather, drought, etc., wiped them out. So they disappeared into the pages of history because of weather, frankly. And then last note on this slide, and that is, were there any advanced civilizations north of Mexico? And one is a sorta. And that was the Iroquois. And located in present-day New York. They were, you couldn't compare them to the Aztec Inca Maya, nowhere near. Just population, much, much smaller. It'd be like comparing Wisconsin to California. Right? Just a lot smaller. But they did have an idea that is going to be interesting later on. They had this idea called federalism. Anyone know what it is? You took civics, so of course all of you know what it is. Yes, dear. You're both ears in my heart. By the way, D-E-E-R, not E-E-R. Dear. What's federal?
It's similar to democracy. Different laws.
No. By the way, are you all right? You just took a shot. I said you were wrong. Haven't I scarred you? Shouldn't we in public education say, good try?
No, wrong.
I appreciate your answer. Well, that ain't me. Sorry.
That's how you learn.
Thanks, pal. But I want you, all of you, to be able to have the confidence to raise your hand, me calling you. By the way, also not raise your hand. I don't care. Just say it. Say it. I'm not going to say, what? You don't have the talkie bear. The talkie bear. We only have talkie bear. You know the answer. Say it. What if you're wrong? What if you're wrong?
Oh, no.
Am I going to say, oh, everyone, index fingers out, index. All right, everyone, point to Kaya. Idiot. That was a joke. She's not an idiot. If you're wrong, so what? So what? Right? First time Tom Brady threw an incomplete pass, you think, that's it, I quit. I just threw an incomplete pass. I'm a failure. Okay? Have the guts to fail in here. I'm wrong all the time. And a student will say, wait a minute, Mr. Potter, you think you failed, get out. No, right? I welcome people that say, wait a minute, that's not right. In fact, I remember a class, this is weird, I taught the entire class teaching wrong stuff. I would say like, yeah, and here's Mount Rushmore, and I would show 4 like comedians. And right, you all thought it was George Washington and Jefferson. Nope, it's these 4. And students are like, and I was just waiting, like, someone, will you please tell me I'm wrong? Okay. Anyway, federalism is where you take little parts that band together to make a greater part. That's what federalism is. Which is not democracy. Democracy is majority rule, right? Majority rule. Let me think of an example. How many of you are aware of what this thing called the United Nations is? The United Nations. You know what that thing is, right? Is U.S. part of it?
Yeah.
U.S. is part of it. U.S. is part of the United Nations. Okay. Anyone know the U.S. population generally? About how many people live in the U.S.? 350 million is about right. 350 million. China is a population of 1.5 billion, maybe 2 billion, something like that. Is China part of the United Nations? Yes, they are. China is part of the United Nations. They have a population that is about 5 times our population. 5 times our population. How many votes does China have in the United Nations when they vote on things? 1. How many votes do we have? 1. How many of you think that's the way it should be? They're one country, we're one country. They should get 1 vote, we should get 1 vote. How many of you agree with that? How many of you believe in this thing called democracy? Wait a minute. You just said China should get 1 vote, we should get 1 vote. And I kindly explained that China has 5 times our population. How can you argue that China should get 1 vote and we should get 1 vote when they should have 5 votes and we should have 1 vote? Aren't they 5 times our population? Democracy is majority rule. There are more Chinese than Americans. In fact, statistically, 1 out of every 5 of you in this room is Chinese right now. 1 out of every 5 people on the planet is from China. So this row. Okay? If you believe in democracy, you cannot believe that China should have 1, we have 1 vote. If you believe China should have 1 vote and we should have 1 vote, then you believe not in democracy, but in federalism. Okay, let's just suspend that for a second and let's just toy with this. How many of you believe, you know that Trump was elected president, right? That we have this person named Donald Trump, he's our president, okay? But did you know that he lost the popular vote? He did. I know he doesn't say he did, but he did. He lost the popular vote. How many of you believe that the winner of the presidency should be the person who won the popular vote? If you win the popular vote, then you should be president. A few of you do. Many of you don't. Don't you believe in democracy? 2/3 of you raised your hands when I said, do you believe in democracy? Democracy means majority rule. Winning the popular vote is majority rule. Why do you keep contradicting yourself in here? And of course, I'm tricking you. I'm making you choose between 2 things that you believe in. You believe in both. But sometimes it doesn't make sense. And we'll get into federalism more as the best. Okay. Last thing that is always on every slide are these 3 colors. That's for me, but it's also sort of for you. Okay? You don't have to draw them. By the way, this class, just for my own, sometimes I get lost, but this class is over at 9:35. Holy cow. I'm not even close to where I want to be. Okay. This is telling you that 3 questions are being asked. Which question is being answered on this slide? The first one is, should America be considered a land that is the land of liberation, or are we the land of oppression? Is America the land that created the slaves and oppressed women and today doesn't let gays, lesbians, certain privileges? Is that America? Or are we the nation that ended slavery, gave women the right to vote, created the most friendly nation on earth as far as Americans with disabilities? Man, any of you been to Europe? Try going on your wheelchair to the top of some of those buildings. But everything here, public access, right? Are we that nation? And of course, we're both, but if you had to take a feather and it landed either there or there, hooray, boo, where would it land? That's up to you. Do we address that here at all? Are we the land of liberation or oppression? And I would say kind of. I mean, this isn't good, and this is America. Okay. The second question is the liberal or conservative point of view the better point of view? The liberal or conservative? I'm sure you've all heard of liberal conservative. In this class, you'll actually learn what they mean. Okay, neither's a bad word. They both have their merits. We're going to welcome both points of view, but we're going to think about it. Liberal simply means, should government solve this problem? Conservative means, well, are there better ways to solve this problem? Is there anything about liberal or conservative here? Well, maybe this one, the federalism. Okay. And then the third one is, how does America fit in the world? So, land of liberation or oppression, liberal or conservative, how do we fit in the world? Those are the three questions that will always be answered. And don't be overwhelmed. If you're not sure, just relax. Okay, it's more for me. Slide number 2. My goal is 3 slides, and I've got 6 minutes. 3 slides, 6 minutes. What time is this class over?
35.
35. Okay, here we go. This explains how the Native Americans got here, how the Europeans get here. How'd the Europeans get here?
Boat.
This time it was on.
It was on boat. Okay. Long time ago, does anyone recognize this chunk of land right here? I know this map's kind of confusing, but do you recognize this chunk of land right here? What is it? Well, Europe's up here. What is this?
That's Alaska.
Alaska. Very good. This is Jerusalem, Israel. This is the land where Jesus lived. The historical person named Jesus. I'm not talking about the religious God. If you believe that, great. I'm talking about the actual historical person named Jesus. He lived right there. This is called the Holy Land. Let's travel back in time to the 1200s, the 1300s. So about 1,000 years ago, which is how many push-ups I can do. About 1,000 years ago, there was this important person called Pope. Pope was the ruler of Europe. Pope was the leader of Catholic Church. Catholic Church believes in this person named Jesus, that Jesus is God. And Pope looked at the map and said, who rules the land where Jesus lived? And his advisors said, Muslims. Muslims. And Pope said, fix that. Fix that. Raise me an army and reconquer the land where Jesus lived. And so they did. Anyone know what those laws or those wars were called? Yes. Very good. The Crusades. The Crusades were religious wars where Christian armies attempted to reconquer from Muslim armies the land where Jesus lived. Okay? And we're not going to study that stuff, but I'm going to tell you the outcome of that. The most important outcome of that was the discovery of spices, right? Those crusaders, they're tired of killing Muslims. They want to take a break. They go to a restaurant. Their food supply in Europe was usually rotten, spoiled, rotting meat. Well, they're given a plate of some sort of meat, and then they're given a white powder. No, not that white powder. Salt. And they look and say, what is this stuff? And the waiter says, salt. Salt? What's that? Put it on your meat. Give it a try. My God! And they brought salt to their kings. They brought salt back to their kings and said, King, try this white powder on your steak. Just. What is that? Salt! Where does this salt come from? Well, we got it from here. Oh, well, then they asked, well, where'd you get it? And they said, well, we got it from here. We got it from traders who crossed Asia and parts of Africa on a route called the Silk Road. Very good. The Silk Road. Europe becomes part of the Silk Road. Okay. Now let's pretend you're here. There you are. You're in Spain. How do you get to here? How do you get to China, where salt is? And cinnamon, paprika? How? Okay, you could go by land. You could go by land. Pretty dangerous. The Silk Road was notoriously dangerous. Any other options?
Take a boat.
You could take a boat. All right. Tell me where to go. Where am I going?
Around.
I could go through the Mediterranean. That's right. And then the Red Sea. Yep, I could go that way.
You go around Africa.
I could go around Africa.
Around the red though.
I could go this way. So do you understand that after the Crusades, there became a race to get to China, to get those spices. And some people went by land. That's this green line. Some people went by going around Africa. Well, you need technology. You need good boats to do that. Okay? So the country that would dominate this would create a navy to prevent others from doing that. The country that dominated the land would create an army to prevent others from doing that because you wanted exclusivity. Well, the country that or this way, right? This way. Well, if you're a country and you don't have the military to go this way, you can't go that way, and you don't have the navy to challenge the Portuguese who went this way, well, then you got to come up with a third idea. Of course, you and I know that there's this rather large landmass that's in the way. But they didn't know that back then. Right? Picture an orange. Everyone essentially picture an orange. Right now, in one peel the peel off so that if you reshaped it, it'd still be there, but there would be no orange in the middle. Okay? Eat the orange. You still got the skin, right? You still got the skin. All right, tear off about a third of it, throw it away, and now recreate the circle. Recreate it. Well, do your best. Okay, that was what they thought Earth was back then. They thought Earth minus Pacific Ocean, right? Which is a rather large ocean. Currently, it's the largest. The Atlantic's really going to gun for it next year. Take out the Pacific. They didn't know that the Atlantic and the Pacific were divided by a rather large chunk of land. And they thought Earth was a lot smaller than it was, especially this one guy. This one guy said, you know what, Spain was not going this way and Spain was not going this way. You know what, Spain? I can get you to China going straight west because as we all know, the Earth is round. By the way, they did not believe the Earth was flat. They knew that the Earth was round. What they didn't know was how big Earth was. They didn't know. And he argued, I can get you to China going this way quicker than the Portuguese can go this way. And he went from kingdom to kingdom, and all of them were like, no, you can't. You're wrong. Earth's bigger than that. And finally, he got to one queen, Queen of Spain. And the Queen of Spain, Isabella, very good, said, yep, I believe you. I will give you 3 ships. By the way, Queen Isabella was a religious nutcase. 3 ships. Is that a coincidence?
No.
Gave him 3 ships. Like God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit.
The Holy Trinity.
3 ships. Okay? And that guy, by the way, was Columbus. I'm going to stop talking here in a second because class is over. But Columbus got 3 ships. Quick quiz question. Just, you don't have to say it out loud, but quick quiz question. Why did she give him 3 ships? What was his initial purpose? To get to China. That's it. Goodbye, everyone. Wasn't that awesome?
Heck yeah. You always make class.
See you later.
Oh, that's not zipped. I zipped one pocket thing and I zipped both. That was smart. That's fast. Actually, I was supposed to go to Happy Come off and be like, yo, what?